Yo, what up? What up?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. DeRosa. What it do?
Another Sunday out and about, getting ready to hit these sidewalks, different events, do some networking, canvassing, dropping off yard signs.
Literature, all that stuff. So, D, let's get to it, right? You've been at this for how long?
Shit, 10 years, a little over 10 years, but it's been a lifelong concern.
So, it's been a decade, a whole decade.
Yeah, a little over a decade as far as like bringing it to light on mass and cast.
In your in this 10 years, what have you observed as far as ongoing outreach in this area, as far as how, how many groups go out there to give out donations, toiletries, whatever? How much of that has been happening in that location?
Oh, listen, there's at least anywhere from 20 to 30 different groups out there 7 days a week, um, all different types of hours. Some are tucked away where, they're in areas where folks, um, unless you're living within that specific community, you won't even see them.
And do you a lot of those groups that you talk to, how many of them are from actual Boston, from like Roxbury, Mattapan, Dorchester, the South End, the communities that are directly impacted by this humanitarian crisis?
You mean the groups that are out there that are helping?
Like, yeah, to do outreach and give donations and all that. How many of those groups are actually from our communities that are directly impacted by this humanitarian crisis? Would you say, like,
Uh,
if you
there's probably maybe four, if
for
if that four. We're one of them.
yeah,
We're one of the groups who are out there constantly advocating. But to say, individuals come from everywhere to
yeah,
support. But actual, local groups on a consistent, it's not much.
not
There are groups though within the city that would pop up for a couple of days, do a few things. They'll do, maybe once a month, a type of thing, or maybe once every few months they'll come out and support. But to say on a consistent, day in, day out, week in, week out, no, it's not much.
mm. So our group is constantly being addressed for multiple issues. We're being addressed by the language that we use, our efforts, and all this stuff. Like, as a candidate and you're running, right? And just even in general, like, what do you think about so many of ongoing advocacy, so much ongoing outreach out there, and yet 20 years later, 10 years later, we're still in the same situation. Multiple different groups coming in and out of that location, giving toiletries, food, all that. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, it's great to see people trying to change. It's great to see people come out and support. But on the back end of it, this issue should have been addressed in a better manner years ago.
Mm, mm,
It shouldn't be at the level of what we see today. Yeah, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be what we see today. It should be more of I'm not gonna say controlled, but it should be better organized as far as the way that we go about making sure people get services. This is not a 7 to 3 issue. It's not a 9 to 5 issue. It's not a 6 to 10 issue. This is a 24-hour
issue.
matter.
Mm, mm. Because I wonder, right? Where we get tons of message every time we are out there. giving out food or supporting other groups that are doing their thing, we'll get messages saying, you guys are enabling people. You guys are, the stuff that you give away end up in the streets and we have to clean it up. And businesses are complaining that they get cited by the city for not cleaning the property that is literally in the direct path of mass and cast. We get all those complaints, right? Like, what do you think about that? Because to me, all I can think about is I can't disagree with the residents. I can't disagree with the businesses, right? I also can't disagree with people who work at Boston Medical Center or in that vicinity who are saying, listen, this is too much, right? That, a lot of them say we need more political, action on addressing this issue. Like, what do you think about that? Because I can honestly say I don't disagree with the businesses or the people that work in that location or the residents.
Well, it's a catch-22 when it comes to that,
Yeah.
because yes, we are in one hand, but then in the other, folks have little to nothing. Some folks have like the bag on their backs. So for us to ignore the simple fact that in the middle of the winter when it's ice cold out, below zero, and we're more concerned about enabling, instead of helping. Thank you, bro.
Good morning.
Have a
Good
good day.
morning.
Instead of actually helping these folks is why we in this jam, because the programs that should be and getting the funding to make sure that programs are out there 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I'm not going to say 24 hours because that's not the reality. Unless you go into a hospital and you might get services, but the ultimate issue is people need help. Period.
Yeah.
Regardless of how people feel about it, there's folks down there who their last meal might have been Friday night when we were there. And the next time they get something to eat is when the next group shows up. Folks are out there in the middle. We had downpours the other day. Walking out soaking wet. And, I wouldn't want anyone I know, especially, folks that need the service and need the help, to be there 2, 3, 4 days wearing the same wet clothes. It goes back to medical issues. Folks are down there walking around barefoot with no shoes because someone stole it. We witnessed a young lady in a Johnny running around in a Johnny because something might happen and her clothes got taken. She could have been sexually assaulted. There's many reasons why folks down there in distress. It's up to us to be able to say, you know what, put my personal feelings aside, my personal agenda aside, and help. On the back end of it, none of the policies and procedures are going to change because we're giving out chicken on Fridays or shoes on Tuesdays. You have to become involved politically to change the policies and the procedures that keep hindering this. There's people getting millions of dollars to provide services. It's Sunday, 11 something, right? It's 11:12. And I guarantee you, no services out there. The chains are on the gate, right? I want to sound like Joe Clark. Get the chains off the door. 6 o'clock, the engagement center is closed. 6:01, Boston police blares their sirens to remove people from Addison Street onto Southampton, onto the connector, where the state police ignores it. Where the state ignores it. Boston forces individuals onto that section. They know that the state police are not going to be there to enforce any and all regulations that they're supposed to, or even have a outreach team Because I haven't seen one from the state. I've seen one from the city, and that's the needle pickup. And what they consider outreaching is here's another 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 needles. Go enjoy yourself. Yes, some staffers do have interactions with folks and they talk and they build a little relationship, but they only have so much training. They're not, I'm not going to say they're not qualified, but these are not professional individuals with the years of experience or the proper training to help people get into a program. You know, the other night we were able to pull someone off the street and
Mhm.
bring him to Kearney Hospital so he can be able to get into a treatment center to get back on the track that he wanted to do. But the reality is, the people watching
Gotcha.
on the sidelines are doing more damage than the people who are out there giving out food and clothing and moral support. You know, we spend another 2 hours after we gave out food and clothes, and we were just talking to people, getting them to understand why we're there and how we can help, and conversations like you can imagine.
Yeah.
Same person we seen on Wednesday, looking like, you know, the end of the world. She comes back on Friday. Oh man, it was great talking to you guys. Look, I've been clean for 2 days. Listen, that's 2 days you didn't do 2 days ago. So little things like that matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
What up, Izzy?
What up, Izzy? So, Izzy, we're kind of talking about, like, we're constantly, people are constantly messaging us and talking to us, right? So a lot of people are constantly like telling us we're enabling people's behavior, that the clothes and donations that we give, shoes or whatever, it's being lost in the community. The shoes that are being sold for people to get their next fix to survive. And one of the biggest ones that I get constantly in my messenger is that what are these groups who are coming from outside of Boston, who are coming into Boston, whether they're nonprofits or not, or soliciting private funding or grant funding from our city to do the work? How are they helping us do the political work that needs to happen? Because everything about our group is political. So I don't even know how many times we got to say this. We're a political group, y'all. Like, please register that. Like, I need y'all to register that. You know what I mean? We are a political group. Like, hashtag that. And like, what are your thoughts about all the stuff that we hear all the time about, like, we enabling them, they sell their clothes, they lose their clothes. Like, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, like when I was on my live before, it was one of my friends that actually was saying that literally on my live. And she's like, oh, what, you're just enabling them, and you're watching more people, some more of our friends die. Basically, that's what she's trying to tell me. Like, I'm enabling, and there's 3 people that died that she knew, but those people had nothing to do with methadone mile. They didn't overdose. So I'm like, you know but as far as it goes to how people judging that, if they don't know, they're not out there, they don't know what's going on. They don't know the feeling. They don't know the passion that we have for the reason that we're doing. As far as passing everything, all that stuff out. I mean, if it's their choice for the part of selling their stuff, or if but we're still. I don't know. I mean, we're still out there. We're giving the stuff out because of how that's how we are. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know when people judging about what they do with it, they bitching about it, and like as far as all the different groups and how we do things, So I don't understand that. But well, listen, well, real quick, remember that picture yesterday of Team Danny, the little the mural that they put up, and then you see the picture that I put up. Did you see how I put her picture of what I cropped it and I put one side and I put a caption up talking about, hey, listen, I understand there's people dying out there, and there's some people that deserve a mural to be put up, and then she deserves to, and she put it up for herself. I got people inboxing me, friends of mine, that they're like, hey, listen, I understand, I appreciate what you're doing, this, and that, but she's taking over for right now, so go easy on her. and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I mean, politically wise, if you don't understand it, like I said, if like I'm not going against her personally. If I see another mural of somebody else from out there, I'm gonna do the same thing. This is putting the pressure on them. This is not saying that she's bullshit or she's not a good person. It's not about that. People judge and they think of they judge, but they're not out there. They don't see what's going on. The time that we put in for these, for the people out there.
Yeah. And that's another thing that people don't understand, right? So while we're constantly getting messages about what to say, what not to say, don't go lie, don't take pictures, and don't do this and don't do that. There's more behind the scenes work that a lot of people don't understand that we do, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this group was designed to address the political aspect of all the failed policies and what's not happening. And so this ain't got nothing to do with us becoming nonprofit or whatever, because we're not aiming to be a nonprofit. We're not aiming to get funding to do this work to then be hushed by the same money that the city or these foundations or certain people want to give us, because then we change the scope of our work or whatever. And at the end of the day, when you become a nonprofit in that area anyway, you're gonna have to build political relationships with people if you really want to change legislation. Because at the end of the day, what needs to happen down there has to be legislation change. Or you're going to be out there all day, every day, passing out food, passing out clothes, passing out shoes, passing out toiletries with nothing being changed. And you're going to see more people dying, more of our friends being down there. The young people are going to get younger and younger. Oh, and yet we need legislative change to making sure that they create enough housing, that they create enough programs with enough beds for individuals to get the help, and maybe a 24-hour outreach team that's really out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't, I just don't, I don't really understand, so much of the frustration. And we get it, Izzy, we talk about this all the time behind the scenes, is that the businesses are tired. We've been cussed out by plenty of the businesses in that location. Like literally cussed out by several of the businesses in that location, that they're telling us, listen, you guys are out here enabling them, y'all leave all this trash. And we're like, but we clean up anyway. So what are you talking about? We get all of that.
Yeah, we do that. That's the whole thing. Like not everybody that goes out there, you know, doesn't clean up after themselves. But the thing is, at the end of the day, guess what? Our group, South End Roxbury, is the ones that we clean up after ourselves. And from us being out there, it's just when people, of course, they come by and be like, hey, what are you guys doing? And guess what? The next day, guess who's out there? Those people are out there. They're giving out stuff, which is great and everything too, but they're not responsible enough. They don't clean after themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like we do our part. Like that's what we always need to do, is just like clean up after yourself. But when it comes down and then we get blamed for it, at some point it's just like, oh, the group, you guys don't clean up. It's like it's not us. So,
But I mean, do you guys think that we can discount like the businesses and residents though? Like, because I think that at the end of the day, whether we want to have this conversation or not, we can't discount the businesses and the residents. You know what I mean? Because they too, the residents and the businesses shouldn't be the ones cleaning up this mess. They're not the ones that created the mess. They're not the ones that are leaving the needles on their steps. They're not the ones leaving the feces on their steps. So at the end of the day, whether people want to hear this or not, the residents shouldn't have to deal with that, and neither does the businesses.
Right.
So then whose responsibility is it to clean up poop from people's steps, to clean up, women, feminine stuff off their steps? Like, who's responsible is that? Like, everybody, I kind of feel like when we continue to have this conversation, everybody always wants to have this conversation on a one-sided perspective. We can't have a one-sided perspective on this, because the community deserves better as well. And Dee, you think about that, because you grew up in that area. You had a program out there. You had to stop having your program out there because of all the needles in the park.
Yeah, the The city is responsible. The city's the one giving out the needles. The city is the one allowing spaces to be used uh, freely for folks to inject themselves. The city's allowing the encampments at the parks surrounding the area. The city's the one that just built a two-story engagement center instead of a 10-story engagement center parallel to the subway house of correction, which is the highest um, structure within that block radius. So the ordinance for that area would allow them to go any higher than they need to. And of course, the city can tweak things as they choose to. We as a city council, right? I'm a city councilor. Right? I'm gonna speak from that perspective. We just voted on a ruling not to have a special election,
Mm.
and then a month or two later, we have another hearing to remove council president. So now we can remove the acting mayor because she's not returning our phone calls. This is the politics they play with us. It's like that 2-year-old when they have a tantrum and they don't get what they want. When when it's convenient for them, they'll adjust every rule in the book. But what's convenient for us, they'll put up every barrier to keep us from getting where we want to go and getting to the root causes of the issues.
Mhm.
A lot of the issues we face on mass and cast, the city has given away those programs to other nonprofits like Pine Street Inn, who deal with the homeless population here in Boston. And now, the location they had on Mass and Cast now is in Austin, Brighton, Watertown line.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
how's that helping the homeless population here in Boston?
Mhm.
They're fighting
So,
over
so
Shattuck Hospital should be moving to Newton Street down there off of Albany Street at the old mental building for the state. So, like,
it's crazy. So, Mingos, let me ask you this, right? Just like when you first started the conversation, right? And you're saying about how they they give out the needles, they have the comfort station. Now they label us like South End Roxbury, the group itself, as enabling them. Isn't that what they're doing? Aren't they enabling because
to the
the
10th
way
power.
yeah, yep, okay,
And say that again, Izzy, because listen, guys, like I need people
To
to
the 10th.
understand that this is facts. So just as we are out there trying to help remedy some of the situation, please reach out to your same elected officials and government with the same energy you reach out to us about what we're doing and what we're not doing and what we're saying and what we're not saying. Because the city of
hmm
Boston is equally as fault as basically continuing to give people their own pain and suffering and killing people, because that's what they're doing. They're creating spaces for people to die from their own from their own literally pain and suffering. We have parents who've never been down there. Then when they go down there, because they've met through us, through our work, through the Mass Ave Project, and some other groups that I'm going to continue to leave nameless because people don't want to be involved politically. So I'm not going to say their name. But to the Mass Ave Project, we've met so many groups of people, right? When they come down there, they didn't even know that that was happening. So parents are not even aware that they've sent their child to get services or help where they're actually in a location who's equally contributing to people's death.
right, right. That's
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, make that phone call to the governor's house. to the governor constituent services, make that phone call to the city of Boston and tell them that they're contributing to people's death down there.
Facts.
And they don't even, so they have an engagement center. And this is what I tell the groups that are out there. They're creating an engagement center. For those that don't want to be political and don't want to engage in politics, right? The least thing you can do, since you are out there as a group giving out toiletries, food, or whatever it is that you're giving out, make a phone call and ask them, hey, I see that you guys are creating an engagement center. Is that engagement center going to have a kitchen so that you give individuals hot food when you're giving them strong medication? Individuals are getting strong medications on empty stomachs that are giving, whether it's a bagel, and you seen it because one of the times that when we went inside the engagement center, they had crackers. What was it? Cooked crackers, a bagel. They had like a little station on the side. They had the coffee or water. How are you guys going to give people strong medication who probably have not slept in hours, in days, some medication on empty stomachs?
Well, the answer to that is, what is the funding? What is the line item to provide food? We've asked that. What is the line item when it comes to the budget for the engagement center? And who are the individuals providing that outreach? Because what I see is a needle pickup. I don't really see any outreach. I see guys walking around picking up needles in red boxes and giving out needles. Picking up and giving out needles. I'm not going to say they're not, speaking to individuals, but the numbers are just growing. Every week, the numbers get more and more and more and more. The needles we're finding are getting more and more and more and more. The drugs left behind on the streets are getting more and more and more. The violence is only increasing. So for me, I don't think anything they're doing is working. I don't think there's enough accountability on the upper management for the city. When we were out there Wednesday night, was it Wednesday? No, Thursday, when we were out there giving out water.
Yeah.
I put in a 311 report for the needles that we found, especially the one that we found that was full. I get a call from the pickup team. Like, oh, we can't find the needle. What the fuck you mean you can't find the needles? Yeah, we can't find the needles. I'm like,
but we seen it. It was still there when we was there.
That's crazy.
Let me stop.
So I look back around. I'm already like, going to drop off some of the stuff that we had. So I look back around. I come. I'm like, yo, meet me at McDonald's on side of. Oh yeah, I looked over there and I didn't find anything. You didn't find anything? Okay. So I get over there. 20-something needles. That's how many needles we picked up. We picked up 20-something needles. And one of them was full of substance. What it was, we only speculate. Most likely, whatever it was is what people using down there. Fentanyl, heroin, and so forth. And I'm sitting there like, I know the dude, dude's a good dude, does the best he can. And I understand the address came up on the other side. It didn't come up because they give them coordinates. They don't really give you, like, depending where you're at, you'll get coordinates instead of an address. So he's telling me he's the only one on for the whole city. He gets off at 6. Like, everyone else gets up at 6. He's like, yeah, I'm here till 8. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm the only one here for the whole city. I get off at 8, and then after that, there's no one out here. And I'm like, yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. This is why we have, the night activities have tripled. The issues that we
Yo, they
see.
bringing out beaches. So y'all know people, they bringing out beaches, right? They have a whole, they got trucks with music. You know what I'm saying? They got beach chairs out there. Listen, it's a whole party down there. A whole party. Right, D? We
Wow.
in there. Yeah, Izzy, I think
Oh
you
yeah,
wasn't.
Yeah,
Go
what's out there?
ahead, D. Go ahead.
he wasn't out there Friday. He was out there Friday, so he didn't get to see some of the new activities coming about now that it's getting warm out. Um, the numbers again. My whole thing is the numbers. The numbers are steadily increasing day in day out, meaning as numbers decrease in other towns, that means here in Boston the numbers are increasing. We're picking up more and more and more of the blunt of it, like we've always have, and we're going to continue to. It's not going to change because the elected officials think this is it's a campaign spiel.
Yeah.
It's not an ongoing. I'm not trying to throw no shade on anybody, but individuals have been in office. Your door's open. Individuals have been in office for longer than a term. I don't expect them to be able to change anything in a term. There's folks who have been there 4 to 6 years who now are running for different positions, mayor specifically, and the same individuals that are run for those positions have been sitting on that body, neglecting this issue on the public safety committee that
Mhm.
comes out of
Mm.
City Hall. Ricardo Arroyo is sitting on that body along with Kim Janey, the health committee. Anissa Savvy George is the chair, and along with her colleagues, these are the same issues that we're talking about today. And it doesn't seem to be, moving anywhere. They're more concerned about fireworks. I mean, I understand fireworks is a nuisance. Fireworks are causing, people to lose their homes to fire.
Mhm.
But again, we got 2,100 people ODing in Massachusetts yearly. 55.1% here in Boston out of every 100,000 are black males. So black males make up more than half the overdoses in Boston. So that means, you got 10 overdoses, 5 of those are blacks.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the truth
Yep.
behind it that they don't want to share. I get tired of people telling me, oh, Mingos, it's a white issue. Nah, don't even let that be the narrative because you're not willing to dig up the dead bodies. The dead bodies will tell you who, what, where, and how. Yes, the white community might be a little more vocal and a little more active on the issue, but
Yep.
that doesn't mean they're the ones, that community itself is the ones that are greater impacted. And again, I'll go back to the terminology. We're going to put these services in communities that are greatly impacted. These are the words that they put into these clauses on these different documents to saturate the black community with recovery centers, with
Yep.
dispensaries, with the issues. This is why it's growing because the language says that we're going to provide treatment to the greater impacted community, which is always going to be the black and brown community.
We're
Puerto
always
Rican men
narrative. We're always
specifically
narrative.
have the
The black
highest numbers of
people.
overdoses.
Yep. D, question. Sorry to cut you off, but somebody had a question I think that you may know as a candidate. The question is, does anyone know if Pine Tree Shelter will be staying at the Shattuck site when it shuts down? Do you know?
The overall the overall conversation, yes. They're looking to look at
Bless you.
some temporary housing
Thank you.
to help individuals get back on mainstream. They're going to bring the mental health portion of Shattuck down to West Newton or Newton Street, where the old state mental treatment building is across the street from the old University Hospital.
Yep.
They're bringing static to that building, and it's actually under renovation now to do so. So, yeah, Pine Street's going to be leading the way on that conversation, just like they're leading the way on a lot of the housing issues in Boston, especially for the homeless community. And I don't think that they shouldn't be the gatekeepers to
The
have people
gatekeepers of the
confine themselves into a shelter. Yeah, man, this is crazy. Like, they do a great job to an extent. We got a lot of footage of individuals who tell us they would never check into a shelter and why they wouldn't, how they would never go to Pine Street and why they wouldn't. People who are new to the area, who have no experience or had a bad experience, yeah, they're gonna go in and find some refuge and find some support. But once they see the reality of it,
Yeah. He keeps
where they
going
gotta
in.
sleep with their bags
Hmm.
on their bags, where they can't take their shoes. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, I'm on the move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pause
no,
for
we
a few
know, we
seconds.
know.
Can you hear me now? Am I better?
Yeah, we hear you. You keep going in and out though.
Yeah, you get that pause, and we're like, wait a minute, is he thinking of something real good? And it's just because of got you.
But I don't know. There's
So the
Janet
answer
who
is
says
yes.
yes. The short answer is yes. All right. So Janet says, what if we went after the methadone clinics to enforce stricter rules about loitering in the area? But would you need Boston Police Department or clinic security to walk the area? Other clinics have consequences for staying in and around after dosing. That's another conversation that people continuously don't want to address. How many methadone clinics do you need in a 5 mile radius? And okay, people, please, please, pretty please, with cherries on top. Nobody's saying that the methadone itself as a treatment does not work. So please don't spin the narrative. The question is, why do we have so many methadone clinics in a 5 mile radius? And people are asking, what is the city or what is any politician, legislator going to do to address this? Which is a fair question, right? I find this to be a fair question. I don't know about y'all, but I think this is a fair question.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
get asked this all the time. And again, you know, these are what we're trying to address about the centralizing of so many services in one location. How many services can go in one location? And we're aiming to help as many people recover from treatment and treatment services. But everything you're putting in that location is giving them the opportunity or giving them that journey of staying in the same space. And
Right,
that's it. And we're always going to have 10, 20, 30 groups giving out because one minute one group lives, another group comes in, they become a nonprofit, become a nonprofit, they give the food, they give funding to do the same thing, and it's a revolving door. Literally
hmm,
a revolving door. So if it's not us, it's going to be another group. And if it ain't the next group, it's going to be another group. It's always group. I grew up over there. Dee's been over there. Izzy, you from the hood too. There's
hmm.
always been groups down there, from church-based groups to just regular everyday residents. You know what I mean? It's always happened, but nothing has changed. So the question becomes, what do people really want to do about what needs to happen? And the end of the day, it's all going to go back down to politics.
Right. Make that call.
Make that call.
That's all it is.
Make that call. Whether you want to be down with the politics of the conversation or not, you're going to have to get involved with politics. Because the way, even from how we cross the street is all political. Car insurance is political. How you pay your mortgage and your rent is all political.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're gonna go nonprofit, I mean, at some point, no matter what, you're reaching out to individuals that at the end of the day, it has something to do with somebody in office. So you're getting that help, but it's you still got to reach out to them. I mean, it's respectful wise, like you say about you don't want to be political, you don't want this, but if you're coming into a group that been from the beginning, like I say, I've never been politically involved ever in 45 years of my life. So, once I come down to it and I do the political, boom, and it comes to a different day of people doing other stuff that I'm helping out for, I'm not going to be doing our stuff depending what they're doing, because I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm here because I'm doing this. I'm be like, okay, you're supporting this part, I'm going to support you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but it's political. I've learned that. I've learned that.
And then people have to understand that the residents and business owners have every right to ask whatever group is out there, where you from, why you here, and
Hmm.
what you doing in your community to address helping us getting a treatment facility in your community next to your child's school, next to your medical providers, and the community has every right to ask that, whether people like to hear it or not. And it's not nothing personal. It's the truth. Because at the
Hmm.
end of the day, if we get technical, Boston has every community has different different communities. So you got Brockton. Oh shoot, Lawrence is in the building. So you have
Good
yo. Oh,
morning,
What's up,
y'all.
man?
what up?
What's
What
up,
up?
man?
Y'all?
So Lawrence, I'm gonna ask you because I know you say it all the way real. So talk to us about how you feeling about all the groups and all the activity and the outreach out there. What do we need to see down there?
Commission.
I mean, I feel like it's a lot. I think that we gotta get together because everybody has the same goal, but different ways of getting to it, and it's kind of conflicting with each other because they like certain people feel it's better to do it this way or this way. But
Yeah,
it's like we all have the same goal, so let's just work together to get it accomplished. That's just really it.
yeah, yeah.
But
But do
like people that keep talking online, like when I had posted that from the other day, a lot of people had shared it and like had like you just had negative comments to say about it, and it was like just people who never have been around anywhere to like. I mean, just your opinion holds no weight because you know we're out here, so.
Mhm.
But you want to see different, but you don't like. I don't know.
It's
Stuff.
true. So we get a lot of that. You're right. We get a lot of commenting from people who straight have a lot to say to us online. But then we're like, yo, pull up. Where you at?
Mm-hmm.
Pull up. Where you at? Like, are you gonna bring some food? You gonna bring some shoes?
Something.
Like,
Something.
what you gonna do? Or if you're coming from your community to come to, outside of Boston to come into to this community, and you're coming as a nonprofit, you know what I mean? And you're soliciting funding from our city, right? Because a lot of the money goes into our city. Let's keep it real here, y'all. Like, let's keep
Yo.
it really real. A lot of the money funding comes from the city. So people are going to come to our community from other communities to aid the situation happening en masse and cast. The question becomes, what are you doing to help us make sure that the city and the town you're coming from is helping us aid and shoulder this situation? Because at the end of the day, it feels good to give out stuff, but we need more than toiletries. We need more than food. We need more than that.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact.
It's more. Well, if nobody else had nothing to say, I feel like just like with jail or stuff. Like instead of like everybody here is doing everything that we could possibly do, but at a point, instead of giving people the stuff, we'd rather them have a way to get out of that, instead of just keep on kind of, we'll give you food. And so some people think like, yeah, well, you guys are not condoning it or whatever, but what's the word?
That's what we were just
Enabling.
talking. That's what we were just
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, yeah. They're saying that that's what we're doing. We're enabling them. But like
But
at
it's
the
like
point that we were talking, yeah. Go ahead.
they haven't created another road for people to not like have to like depend on people like us to go out there and do that stuff for them. And the government help isn't.
That's a whole
Yeah.
It's like this looking for them. They're fucking.
And, I mean, I was talking to a few guys about that little spot that they have over there, South Bay, right on the corner, where they give haircuts or something. Maybe they closed it down. I don't even know. But right on the corner, he said that they was giving haircuts. They could take showers and stuff there. But it was like there was needles inside the place that they was talking about. I was like, yo, like that's just crazy.
But that's another thing, Lawrence, and I know Dean talks about this all the time. So back in the day, individuals were able to use the bathroom and take a shower in these facilities. But what was happening was people were going in there with their drugs and stuff. They were overdosing in the bathrooms. There was issues where people were being assaulted in these bathrooms and all that stuff. So unfortunately, the same providers who were trying to provide a service had to literally pause that and say, yo, like they're overdosing even in here. Like we don't, you know what I'm saying? And we're the ones providing the service, getting the funding to do this work. So then it's like, none of it is working. Nothing is working.
I haven't seen no improvements, like in nothing. Everything that they try to do, it just seems like it's getting worse. It seems like the things that they're doing is helping people out even more to be able to stay here.
Yeah.
Because I think they benefit more. Honestly, they benefit more having the people out there and providing that type of service to them and giving them what they need to fucking get high and everything like that instead of helping them out. That's just the whole shit. It's the whole opposite.
Well, yeah, they're definitely not going to cut off their money source.
Of course.
Yeah. That's exactly.
Profiting off of people's pain. That's exactly what's happening down there. And you know, and the same thing goes again to all the nonprofits that are down there too. They're getting city money to do what they do. You know, we need people to like help us tell the city and the government, like, yo, y'all got to figure this out. Like something like the businesses, you know, the businesses get fined. Like, how are y'all finding businesses in that location for trash that they didn't create?
What do they? So they get fined?
Yeah, they get fined.
Because they got to clean up.
Yo, we've been cussed out. Look, listen, we've been cussed out by all the businesses over there. Just so y'all know. So me being who I am, whenever we get any type of help, I get gift cards. I've given plenty of gift cards to many of the managers and businesses in our location to say thank you. We appreciate you. We understand where you're coming from, and we're here to support you. And we're also here to support the individuals. But they get fined. They told us that they get fined for not cleaning the property by the city.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's mad crazy. I didn't know that. And then when you call 311, there's times there's times people have called in and they said, you know, needles over here, and you know, you hear it in their voice that there's like, oh, okay, here we go again, and they're not gonna go pick it up, and then the business will get fined for that. That's messed up.
Yeah.
How are we having businesses clean biohazard material?
Yeah.
People don't get mad because this is the language. This is the language, and it is what it is. Biohazard material. Biohazard needles that are used. Individuals, whether people want to hear it or not, there's a lot of individuals on massive cash who have HIV. So you have the businesses that you want who probably don't even get paid enough to pay their staff to pick up that stuff. So you want people's staff to clean up biohazard materials. Make it make sense.
That's how it was at Planet Fitness downtown. People would be leave needles and stuff in the bathroom downstairs or whatever, or they'll tell you have to go and like nobody in Planet Fitness is a trained Narcan, you know, person or anything, but they tell you like if somebody is ODing in the bathroom that you have to go and do that. You getting paid $11 an hour to go and do this type of stuff when it's like that's not your job. You don't get paid to do that stuff. That's crazy.
Even if you look at the pay
Listen,
scale, right? And you could talk about this. I want you to hit on this because first of all, if you get hired at the engagement center, you have to be 5+ years in recovery to work at the engagement center as a recovery specialist and all that. If you look at the pay scale of what they pay these people, I wouldn't work it. You're not going to sit here and put me and work somewhere under $30 an hour where my life is at risk, all right? Where I'm inhaling toxic smells of feces,
listen,
urine. Come on, man. Come on, yo. Stop playing. Y'all play.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy.
listen. The reality is this is a statewide issue. As long as we here in Boston don't stress the importance of a healthy community and the safety of our children in our schoolyards and our playgrounds and our play structures, the community around us can hear less. I'm gonna say this straightforward, and people can take it like they want to. Most people only care about their loved ones specifically. They're not looking at the greater community. Ain't no one talking about the kindergartner at Orchard Garden that got pricked a few years ago. Ain't no one talking
That's
about
right.
the first grader coming out of the Mason School who got pricked. They're not talking about our loved ones who live here. Your mom, Jahida, my mom, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my relatives who live in Roxbury, Mattapan, Dorchester, because this is not just a South End Roxbury issue. The Commons is saturated with needles. Faneuil Hall is saturated with needles. The North End is saturated with needles. Southie now wants to join the conversation because they find it in their parks at Moakley. That's not new. That's always been there. So the real issue is the lack of support from these towns like Holbrook that has a high percentage of overdoses. Towns like Swampscott, where the governor loves to keep his community clean at all means. Worcester, there's 14 counties in Massachusetts. You can look it up yourself. Suffolk is one of the smallest. Nantucket is bigger than Suffolk County. Nantucket Island is bigger. Landmass, not population, landmass. And we only have a few treatment centers outside of Boston. And the ones that are outside of Boston are closing. Meanwhile, we have the Bedford's VA. We have the Holyoke VA. We have Chelsea Soldiers Home. Like you have all these different state-owned facilities that has the space for us to be able to bring in services for other regions of Massachusetts. And that's not a conversation they want to have because when you look at where people's money come from, a lot of political candidates, politicians, people sitting in office, their funds come from these outside towns.
Boom.
Only so much comes from Boston.
Boom.
And again, the language in the documents that they put out puts us at the #1 spot. Communities highly impacted by the drug war. That means Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan. It doesn't say West Roxbury, South End, Charlestown. It says Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. This is why we have 51 dispensaries forced upon us by the state of Massachusetts to come to Boston. They're trying to put a dispensary every half a mile within the hood. You're going to have one that you already have in the Mecca. You're going to walk down 2 blocks. There's going to be another one by Quincy. You're going to walk another 2 blocks. There's going to be one down by Merengues. You're going to walk another 2 blocks, and there's going to be one by churches. are not included in the language. Preschools are not included in the language. Only schools. So that gives them more of areas to saturate our community with treatment centers. Breezeways was supposed to be a restaurant. They said the community denied it. I didn't know there was a meeting about it, because I know I would have showed up. So now we have a recovery center there versus what the community really needs. I'd rather see a nice, elegant restaurant. I'd rather see Merengue move across the street and start another Merengue number 2 across the street and use that parking lot.
Right.
He said number 2.
But that's another thing, right? Is we say decentralize the services, and what happens is, and y'all can speak about it, is they start decentralizing services in communities of color with low voter turnout. So then here we go, and this is why when we do these shows, we're always saying when we say decentralized, we're talking about in your community outside of Boston. How about that? Next to your child's school, how about that? Next to your provider, how about that? Because decentralizing does not mean go put it in a community that is already in a deficit and already experiencing a crisis in violence, housing, poor. That's what we're
The
saying.
list goes on.
Outside of Boston.
I was gonna say something real quick. If you touch on what Domingos was saying, like every 2 blocks they want to have a dispensary, right? And just the other day, I was trying to go get my my bike fixed, and I realized that there's no bike shops in Mattapan. They got one on Bowdoin. That's probably the closest one to Mattapan, and then you got like
Bike's
Bike's
Not
Not Bombs. So? But other than that, like in
That's what
this
it's called.
area, they got rid of the one that was in Ashmont.
There's one.
But all in all, just to say, they
that-
put dispensaries. But no, go ahead. What'd you say?
We got a bike shop over here by the castle in the South End, across the street from Franklin.
Oh yeah.
There's a couple, but I got your point. The point is we don't have anything in the Black brown communities, right? Meanwhile, we got bike lanes.
Yeah, and then they'll put dispensaries, but with the things that really help us out, like in life, like with like I don't know, a bike shop. You got rid of that. That's with the healthy food spots to eat, but you put these dispensaries everywhere. We got Oasis and maybe get some rice and beans and veggies from Flames. Maybe I don't know.
But that's the thing, though. Like, how do other people define what goes in our community? So they progress these things in other communities, but not in Black and brown communities that are already experiencing low income. But yet you still find tons of liquor stores in the hood.
Language.
You know what I mean?
Keep telling y'all, it's the language.
Fast food places in the hood. And so these are the things that I'm trying to in my head, and this is no slight to nobody. It's the same thing of the nonprofits that come to Boston, they live outside of the Boston to get the money to do outreach and addiction services or support in our hood, but they still go back to their community.
I told you, it's the language.
No nothing. But then they come to our community to dictate. Use language to dictate how we go live and don't go live, and not to take pictures and not to take videos, because we're not trying to be political. Like, yo, come on, man. Like,
to be or not to be, that is the question, right?
What did you say about the language, though?
It's the language on the ordinance, the language in the context that governs these dispensaries and these liquor stores and these treatment centers and these recovery centers. It says, again, highly impacted communities, meaning that these treatment centers are supposed to be providing treatment to the Black and brown communities because we've been highly impacted by the war on drugs. And they want to give us economic opportunities by bringing in dispensaries to our community because we were the ones who were highly impacted by the drugs. But the back end of it, the 3% that we get kickback, right? The 3% that gets kicked back by the city, it goes back to the general funds. It's not specifically There is criteria for the money, and one of it is law enforcement, one of it is education, and one of them is giving economic opportunities. You know, for me, someone who's gone through that era and continues to fight through the war of drugs, right? I would rather see the 3% going to our students to make sure that our children don't enter that path in life, where they're going to be able to be given, you know, all the necessary treatments besides Ritalin and other attention, um, other prescriptions that they prescribe for children who suffer from other learning disabilities, such as anxiety and so forth, because that is the actual gateway into that lifestyle. Is our young people being prescribed, you know, Ritalin, which is one of the top medications prescribed to young people. There's over 2 million people, 2 million young people on Ritalin and Adderall. So how do we change that? You know, and it goes back again to become politically involved. So I'm gonna jump off of this because I'm over here at Franklin Park. They want to talk about the dirt bikes, and you know I'm gonna show up. They look at it and pull up on my bikes.
You got a sign with you by any chance? You got a sign with you by chance? So I can grab a I need one of those to throw it over here in front of my crib.
Yeah, I need you to get a sign. That's your thing.
Say that again?
That yard sign. I need you to put a yard sign on your window about no plan, no vote.
Oh yeah. You need one of those too.
You say you're in Franklin Park? What you about a zoo?
Inbox me, inbox me, and I'll inbox me your address and I'll stop by. I'm out doing a whole bunch of things today, and again, you know, this Master Cast, I'm gonna swing by in a little bit because you know moms and more on the mile are out there doing their thing. It's a bunch of mothers who are out there supporting in different ways. But the reality is, a lot of folks don't understand the seriousness of the dangers that exist down there. You know, if you don't pay attention to your surroundings, you can wind up being a victim not only of a robbery, or losing your life, sexual assault. We've been seeing a lot of these things transpire in front of us day in, day out. So this conversation is only going to get deeper, and it's only going to get wider as we expose different things. I'm just going to add this last piece, and then Jahida, you can run with it. EMTs get rid of drugs. EMTs destroy drugs by dumping them into sewage. I thought any drug that was confiscated or taken off of someone is supposed to be turned over to the police so they can get overtime.
Yeah. Sounds about right. They probably mad at that EMT.
He's out. He said, I'm out.
But now we got an environmental crisis. I'm gonna leave it at that. Now we got an environmental crisis, right? So, you know, but guys, thank you guys so much. I'm gonna head out. You know, but let's keep this conversation flowing. Let's keep it real. You know what I mean? Because we ain't sugarcoating the conversation, guys. And please do us a favor. Don't tell us how to tell our message or what our narrative is and what we can say and what we can't do, you know. And if you're coming from your community to come to our community to give out food and all that, in addition to that, make sure you call the governor and tell the governor the people need meals, and tell you the people need to take showers and bath you know what I'm saying, bath somewhere, and also tell them that people need a place where they can actually change their clothes. You know what I mean? Like, do that. Help us do that, because we need your help too. You know, if you're going to come to the city and get some of the funding from the city, then we need you to also take the money that you're going to get from the city or whatever to come to our community to do the work, to actually help us on a political level address the situation. Whether you guys want to hear it or not, whether you take it personal or not, it don't matter. You got it. And everything of the Roxbury Community Partnership is and will always be political. And if you don't want to be associated with us, don't invite us to your party.
That's it.
Take it how you want to take it. Later, guys.
All right.
Have a good day.